Hey everyone, Sam coming at you live from the L.A.B studio here. Today I wanted to show you guys a device practice training aid thing that I've been like obsessed with for a couple of years. First I want to make clear this is not a paid promo of any kind. I stumbled across this thing on Instagram and I love it. The reason I love it is that for me it helped clear up a ton of confusion around what people call straight back, straight through versus arcing and gating and all of that. So what I've done the last couple of years, pretty much because of this board, is I don't even use those terms anymore at all. And we get asked a lot, is this putter only good for a straight back, straight through stroke, regarding our L.A.B stuff? And the answer is it's good for all kinds of strokes. The putter is designed to stay square to an arc or a plane, as we'll get into. And this device shows you what a plane actually is. So again, it's called the putting board, and it gives you information on every different angle of a putting stroke. The first one is, I think, where the confusion around straight back, straight through starts. Nobody takes a putter shaft, don't worry about the head, we'll get to that in a second, on a plane. Or on an arc. Nobody arcs the shaft. Ideally, what we want is for the shaft to move on an inclined plane. So this board is designed so that it can be adjusted, so if you're super flat, it'll hold it. If you're super upright, it'll work. You attach this little plastic piece here to your putter shaft, lay it against the plane here. So you can't, because of this little plastic piece, you can't twist the face this way at all. Put it down against the board, line it up on the little plastic piece. You're just going to make some strokes. So in order to keep the putter on plane, this thing sort of forces the issue. And so what you can then do is try to figure out what makes it easier to keep it on this putting board here. A little grip change, a little shoulder change, elbows. Something's going to make it a little bit easier to keep it on this plane. So take a bunch of strokes here, get comfy with it. And then here's where things start to get pretty interesting. Unfortunately, you're about to go to some B-roll while I try to explain this. But we now have seen it from the down the line view that this putter shaft is working perfectly on plane. We know that because this is dead flat and this is attached to it. Now, if you look straight down at the putter head, take it back and look at that. That red line that you see is actually arcing relative to the target. Relative to the plane, that isn't an arc. That is what I think most people think is straight back and straight through. You can also see the face on that green line there, or on the red line here, black line. It's opening relative to the target. It is not opening or closing relative to the plane. So here we have a straight back and straight through plane. The shaft is working that way, and the head is technically working on an arc. So this is, again, where I think a ton of the confusion around what exactly we're trying to accomplish with a putting stroke comes. Where some people, I think, are focused on the shaft, and that's what appears to them to be a straight back, straight through stroke, and other people are more focused on the head, which, yeah, if you look at the putter head relative to the target at the top of the backstroke, it's open. So people think that the putter is gating, but you're not actually going like this to make the putter gate. That's just naturally what happens when you keep a putter face square to the plane or to the arc. Now the next piece was really interesting to me as well, and that's the relationship between the head and the handle. So in theory, on this putting board here, I can't twist it this way, and I know I'm aimed good, so the only other way to screw a putt up is as if the axis point, our hands move a little bit, if the axis point of the putting stroke changes. So that's where we get into these lines here on the putting board. So if I take it back here, the shaft is perfectly on plane here. The relationship between the handle and the head is good because I'm right on the green line, right on the red line, right on the black line here. And by the time we get back to impact, the shaft is vertical and the face is square. Now, one thing I do want to say, if you guys have a DF or a Mez that has shaft lean built in, these lines are not going to match up. What you can do is you can figure out where they're supposed to be with your Mez or with your DF, and you can actually draw your own lines on there. With the Link that has no shaft lean, you can do it. So the only way to really screw up a putt now, as far as face angle is concerned, because we know we're swinging it on a plane, we know that the face is square to the arc, The only way to screw it up is to change the arc. And what I mean by that is if the relationship between the handle and the head changes and the shaft starts not lining up with these lines, by the time, if the handle's behind the head here, as you can see, the face is shut relative to that gray line. I'm still on plane, but I need to be also here in order for the face to be square. Then if you're somebody who pushes the ball, a lot of times it might not be you going like this. A lot of times for some people, it's actually that the handle is going forward ahead of the ball. They take it back, and the handle leads. Or some pullers aren't actually shutting the face down. They may just be getting it on the wrong side of the arc with the head. So that's pretty much all this is. And then you can. Like I said, it answers a lot of questions for a lot of people. I think it's really good practice. I'm not a big muscle memory guy, but I like using it, like I said, to sort of tell you what an on-plane stroke feels like, and then you can sort of build your posture, build your stance, build your grip, build your elbows, shoulders, all that stuff around what's going to make it easiest to be on here. Then once I've kind of figured that stuff out, I take this off, and I actually hit putts without even touching the board. It's only there just sort of as a reference. And for visualization. So when I'm out on the course sometimes and I'm struggling with my stroke, I'll actually picture this board. I will picture Hogan's plane of glass. I'll picture some flat piece sitting right behind the board so that I know that all I got to do is drag the shaft on plane and the head's going to take care of itself. That's the point of angle balance technology. Keep the shaft on plane, the head's going to take care of itself. Anyway, this is the putting board. Google it, check it out, get one yourself, and hopefully it clears things up for you the same way it did for me.